Welcome to Malpractice Podcast.
So, are you ready to get started?
I'm very ready to get started.
Very ready.
I'm so excited. It's been a while since we recorded, and
Has it?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Why?
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 Your
Why?
teeth look so white. Why do your teeth look so white on this
Thank you.
Zoom call right now?
Thank you very much. I brush them with the electronic toothbrush.
I mean, same.
When I look more tan, my teeth look whiter.
Everybody looks better with a tan, if I'm being honest, and I know about skin cancer and shit still.
Yeah, facts.
Pro tip, I get a spray tan before I go on vacation anywhere now.
Yeah.
If I'm going to Alaska, spray tan.
Alaska? Wait, are you going?
No, but if I was, I'd get a spray tan.
I want to go to Alaska.
Me too. Let's get a spray tan and go.
Go. I mean, I'm just fucking kidding. I do not want to go to Alaska.
I don't know anything about Alaska.
Isn't Sarah Palin from there?
That sounds right.
Nah, I don't want to go there.
She's a moose, though. Like, you can't trust her judgment.
Big moose energy is scary.
That is fair.
You cannot trust a moose.
You can't trust a moose. You can't trust a moose. You can't trust Sarah Palin for sure.
For sure.
No one should trust Sarah Palin.
No, y'all, be afraid of moose. Period.
Have you seen that video where
Yes.
the moose is chasing that guy
Yep.
and he's skiing?
You showed it to me. I got scared.
I was
got
like,
scared.
for number one, moose, how dare you? For starters, I want to talk about that. How dare you be so big
So big.
and so terrifying? One time, Eric and I were skiing and we saw a moose. And I'm not kidding when I say that my shoulders came up to its stomach. Like, I had no idea how big moose are.
What did you do when you saw them? How far away were you?
Froze like this. Ugh.
I would be.
We were
I
probably.
would cry.
We were close. We were close. We were like 50 yards away, probably. Like, I didn't see it. And then Eric was like, holy shit, look, a moose.
Eric
And I
knows
looked
better
up.
than to just casually point out a moose.
Correct. My heart was like, bup. I was like, can moose smell fear? Because if they can, that bitch is coming right at me.
No, I'm so scared.
And then Eric was like, I'm going to get closer to it. And I was like, Eric, they are so aggressive.
No, yes.
So aggressive. That moose will eat you for breakfast.
People don't know. People don't know.
People don't know.
Tigers
They're
and
like, oh,
moose. Do not fuck with them.
the two most dangerous games.
Oh, I'm scared. You know I'm fucking scared. I stay scared.
Do you remember that book where he hunts people? No, moose. The most dangerous game.
No, so I was watching Naked and Scared.
Naked and
and
scared.
this guy was
Naked
out
and
there,
scared.
naked and scared, and he was out there and he saw moose, and he's naked, scared, and now in moose territory.
No.
And he was like, "Get away!
No,
Get away!"
mistake!
I was like,
You better slink
Don't-
away from that moose.
"Do not talk."
No.
Big moose energy.
It's not your place to tell that moose what to do.
You run away. I don't care if you set up camp here. You just start running. I don't care if you have no energy.
Correct.
Run.
That moose owns your life now.
You pay that moose
That moose is the king of your world.
taxes. Yes.
Correct.
Got my moose tax.
I don't fucks with a moose. I saw one that one time when we were skiing, and I was like, I never again. If you see a moose in person one time, you will never again think that it's okay to fuck with a moose.
I will just say to the universe right now, I do not need to see a moose. I
learn that
already
lesson.
know I don't.
No.
Short. Moose and tiger. Like,
Correct.
when that tiger escaped that Houston home and was laying on the front yard,
No.
I do not need to experience that to be, I'm scared.
You
already.
texted me that like the day after it happened, and I was like, I'm sorry. What was I going to do yesterday if I came across that tiger? Why did they not send out, like, you know how they send out Amber Alerts? They should send Tiger Alerts.
They should send out tiger alerts.
I'm not joking.
TM,
That is so
100%.
important. Like, I want a Tiger Alert ASAP, or maybe no, I do.
So scary.
I was like, maybe I don't, because what if I'm getting them all the time and there's like constantly tigers loose?
If I'm upset. If there were tigers out running these streets like fucking squirrels, Can you imagine?
I might never leave my house again.
Never.
I would never leave my house again. It would be like the zombie apocalypse because tigers would be killing bitches left and right.
They would.
You can't
You can't.
hang with a tiger.
You don't.
You think you can,
You can't.
but that tiger is also the king of your life.
Who thinks that? That's the other thing. People that own tigers,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you?
I mean, collectively, like we all learned from Tiger King that everyone who's ever owned an exotic animal is a fuckaroo,
Yeah.
right?
Straight up idiot.
There was not one person on that show that was like
that owned tigers.
a
that I was
healthy,
like,
normal human being.
I want to be them when I grow up. Never
Correct.
happened.
I was like, you're all psychos. The fact that only one of you is under FBI investigation is a problem.
Yeah, it's a tragedy.
Like that one guy who had all the sex wives or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was
Doc,
weird.
whatever the fuck his name is.
He should be under investigation for being a creep.
He's under investigation by me. My case is closed. He's a creep.
I was like, oh wow, he's under. Oh no,
by me. Just me. Just me. And my case is closed and he's a creep. He forced women to get implants.
Yeah, that was a weird vibe. Even though,
Just as a general rule to live by, if someone that you're working for tries to force you to get implants, you quit your job immediately. I don't care how good the health insurance is.
well, yeah,
You seem
agreed.
skeptical, but also it's
I
like-
don't know what kind of I don't know how great health insurance could be. You know what I mean? I like health insurance. Like, what are we talking?
There's so much easier ways to get it. You could be like me and get married so you have health insurance.
Turn up.
That's easier than working in a job where they make you be around tigers and force you to get breast implants.
No. The tiger thing, automatic no.
Disqualification.
If I were, let's just imagine for a second that I would like to be a zoologist. I don't.
Yeah. Right.
Shouldn't. But
Sure.
if I get to say I was interning at the zoo and they were like, oh my God, Jess, you get the most highly sought after animal. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
A koala. That's been my most highly sought. Elephants. Yes, I would love. They're like, you're going to be with the tigers. I'd be like, I'll actually just see myself clear out. I'll change my major. Like, I'm not
done.
doing
I'm out.
It's not for me.
Short.
Or a
In what
moose?
world?
Fuck off.
In what world can you get people to do that?
I already feel weird about zoos in general. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But have you ever seen at like a warm environment zoo a polar bear?
Yeah, I feel real weird about zoos. We've talked about this
I don't
before.
like that.
I feel conflicted by
I
zoos.
don't
'cause
like
I'm
that.
you know, okay, I've seen the ones where like this is a bear that like fucked with too many people and they're gonna like put this bear down if a zoo doesn't take it. I can respect that hustle, right? Because you're like taking an animal that's like, you know, done fucked up in its life and needs some rehab. In that case, I guess I get it. But if you just like snatch a baby, what's the Zaboomafoo animal?
A lemur?
A lemur. You just like snatch a lemur up out of Madagascar. That's not okay, man. I'm not okay with it.
They're like, oh, we're rehabilitating this bear. Okay. To me, putting a bear who has attacked people into a zoo would be like putting an alcoholic into a bar. It's like all the people you got the taste.
Oh, fair enough.
Now we're all gonna stare at you. If I was a bear, I'd be like, I'm about to break out this motherfucker. I'm about to break out, about to eat every one of these bitches.
Literally, have you seen the video recently where that woman climbed into the gorilla enclosure?
When people do that, I'm like, are you? I don't even know what to say.
What? Make it make sense. I'm like, first of all, when you do that, you're taking your life into your own hands, number one.
And bye.
And bye. Like, let it happen. Whatever happens is on
What
her.
happened to her? I didn't see that one.
Like, nothing happened. The monkeys were like, get away from me.
They were like, get away from me.
Yeah, I think so.
They should have thrown poop at her at the minimum.
At minimum. Or, like, maybe just roughed her up a little bit.
Wait, so she climbed into a gorilla enclosure?
Yeah, dude.
Where?
I think she was fine. I think nothing happened and the monkey didn't, the gorilla didn't get hurt or anything.
I'm about to Google this shit. Hold on.
I think, because remember the last time somebody did that, that was the Harambe thing.
Oh, hell nah.
What? Tell me what.
In May of 2021,
Yeah.
this was the spider monkey exhibit.
Oh, spider monkeys, not gorillas. Okay.
So this woman, was a Texas woman, which
I know.
she hopped over a barrier at the El Paso Zoo to enter the facility's spider monkey enclosure. They should like file trespassing charge on behalf of the monkeys for her
Agreed.
entering their house.
Yeah, agreed.
Zoo officials told ABC7, that the woman entered the enclosure and fed hot Cheetos to the monkeys.
Hot Cheetos!
The monkeys were named Libby and Sunday, just in case anyone wants to.
Yeah, even like little spider monkeys can fuck your life up.
They may be small monkeys, but they can take you to the ground if they wanted to.
That's what they said?
They have a specialized diet, so being fed human food could cause stomach problems and bowel disruptions for Libby and Sunday.
This bitch.
What an asshole.
Justice
And
for Libby and Sunday.
Justice! And she put the animals at risk of contracting COVID-19.
That bitch gotta get got.
Wow. The spider monkeys are shaken up.
Oh, man.
Little choochies.
That's so sad. Yeah, it's like a home invasion.
I think it should be like
she
animal
invaded
cruelty,
their home.
criminal trespassing,
at minimum.
And something else.
And being an asshole.
Yeah.
Is that criminally prosecutable?
I just think like throwing poop is always the best idea. So if monkeys are listening to this,
yeah,
throw poop. If people come into your house, throw poop.
Yeah. If somebody comes up in your space and you want to throw poop at them, that's your right.
That's your business.
That you stand your ground and you throw some poop.
This is a stand your ground state, right?
It is, yeah. Welcome to Texas. It's the Wild West. I pulled a muscle in my leg this week playing beer league kickball.
Okay, I have several questions about this. First of all, love your transition.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Wild West, I pulled a muscle. No transitions here.
We don't do that, yeah. We just bop from topic to topic.
Wait.
Speaking of which, I'm Sydnee.
I'm Jess. God damn it.
And we're the hosts of your favorite show that just bullshits.
Malpractice Podcast.
We're here to talk about monkeys and
we've really
injuries.
just been talking about monkeys for like 15 minutes.
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
It sounds so familiar. No.
My God, you have to watch it. Okay, so it's on Apple TV, but I'm sure you can find it in other places. It's about the actor is Jason Sudeikis from SNL. Okay. You would know him if you saw him. So he plays a football coach that gets hired to coach like a EuroLeague soccer team. And he knows like nothing about soccer, but the owner is like trying to tank the team. So she hires him, but he's like a really good person and he like learns really fast. And so the team does good stuff.
Aww.
But it is like the most, and it has lots, it's about soccer, so it's like fun for me because we played soccer forever.
Yeah.
And I think you'd like it too. But also, authentically, it is like the most heartwarming show.
Oh, heartwarming.
Heartwarming in a very long time.
Okay.
Like it made me feel so warm and fuzzy.
Okay, I was
like, oh my God, I need to do a nice thing for someone because this man is an angel, the character. You'll like it. If you watch it, you'll love it.
Love it already.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that I love, transition. Let's get in to your story of the day.
Story of the day.
Malpractice story of the day.
Malpractice Jessica looks naked.
Yeah, I do.
Because you have on a sleeveless or strapless shirt. So from the Zoom call, boobies down, or boobies up, you look naked. Have you
boobies down?
That's just naked. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, transition. These are our transitions. These are our transition noises. So now we don't have to pretend like there is a transition.
Do Eric's.
Wow, 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 wow. That's an Eric sound effect. Eric, our chief
sound engineer.
Wakeboarder.
Wakeboarder?
I don't know.
What?
Sound engineer, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Today we're going to do a truly Sydnee-esque story about genetic genealogy.
Ooh.
It has everything I love,
Mhm.
science,
Mhm.
true crime,
Yep.
and people who suck getting their comeuppance.
Okay, stop trying to make comeuppance happen.
No, I'm doing it.
You sound very old.
Okay, you're saying that like it's a bad thing.
I don't care for old people.
You don't care for old people? Is that what you just said?
All right.
I fully get it, but I feel like
No,
that's because
I
old
did
people
say
now
that.
are weird. You know? Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
I don't, but
So you
when
do know
we're
what
old,
I'm
it's going to
saying.
be different because we'll be like, cool, old people, right?
Yeah, but right now.
Yeah. First of all, you know that I've never met a story like this that I don't like.
Mhm.
So, here we go. I want to issue a warning because this story is going to have rape, murder, and assault.
God damn! Pick
Correct.
one.
No, all of them, all of the above. It's rough.
All right.
It's going to get rough. If you don't like that,
I don't.
none of us like it. Whatever. But if it's not something that you can handle right now in your current state, then skip this episode maybe.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to start in the 1970s in a town called Visalia, California. And I'm going to tell you the story of Paul Holes and the Golden State Killer, Joseph DeAngelo, who was caught in 2018.
DeAngelo Vickers.
At literally every time I read the name DeAngelo in my story, I think of DeAngelo Vickers and I cannot stop.
And I won't stop. Short.
So if I say DeAngelo Vickers at any point, just catch me.
You know why.
Okay. I want to start with his childhood. He had a fucked up childhood, but guess what? No one cares.
Facts. Cool. Big
Moving
facts.
That's all we're going to say
Wait,
about his childhood.
that's it?
Correct. Okay.
Let me start here. Okay, that's done. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. His childhood was fucked up. Lots of people have fucked up childhoods, and they don't go off and kill a bunch of people.
Big
so
facts.
I don't care. Okay,
Yeah.
no one cares.
Short. We don't care.
In 1973, he was hired as a cop and immediately began creeping on women, like peeping through their
Goddamn.
windows, home invasions, etc., etc. So when he was 29 years old...
Wait, he was a cop.
Correct.
And he was
Correct.
creeping. Cool.
Yes, all of the above.
Love that.
So when he was 29 years old, they started calling this unknown man who was perpetrating these crimes the Visalia ransacker. And he would basically come into people's homes through an unlocked door or window, which, lock your shit, people.
Yeah, but is Visalia a small town?
It is a small town.
That's some small town shit.
It's also in the 70s, so, like, you know, people were just learning how scary shit was, right?
Yeah.
But also, if you're, like, in 2021 and you're not locking your doors...
Lock your doors.
What are you doing?
Hide your kids, hide your wife, lock your doors.
Yeah, they snatching everybody.
Yep.
Okay. So, he would come into people's houses and he would steal weird shit that was, like, personal and not necessarily worth money, like photos and women's underwear.
This is like how they always start.
Correct.
The creeps. They always start like this, doing stuff that don't make no sense, but no one likes.
That was an excellent song, and you're not wrong.
Thank you.
It's not just a line from every single episode of Criminal Minds.
Literally.
It is commonly believed in, like, academic circles that serial killers and serial rapists often, but not always, start with more minor, but still super creepy crimes like harming animals, lighting fires, which are 2 of the 3 McDonald triad signs, and then stalking potential victims and stealing things from them, specifically like underwear and like sexual items, right?
That don't make sense.
Or shoes if people are like into wiki feet. I don't know. Okay. So, also, once they've started committing crimes, it's not uncommon for the crimes to get more violent as the criminal's history progresses. So, the theory of, like, escalation is totally a thing.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta start small.
Yeah, start small, see if you get caught, whatever. So, as a burglar is how he starts out, the Golden State Killer. And at this point, he's called the Visalia ransacker.
Yeah.
But as a burglar, he's, like, prolific. So one day in November of 1974, he hit 12 houses in one day.
God damn!
Right. Like,
so wait,
dude is
he's
like,
a cop, right?
Yes.
So when the fuck does he have time to do this? Isn't he copping around?
Yeah, he's also married.
Aw, hell nah.
Right.
His wife
so,
better get in trouble.
She says she had no idea. Anyway.
Okay.
Right. So everyone...
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know her.
I don't know. She might be a victim too. What do I know? Yeah. But basically he starts doing this, and after 120 break-ins, everyone is freaking out, right?
Yes. I'm freaking out. And that was not today.
Correct. He hasn't been caught yet, so he says that basically breaking into, like, empty homes lost its excitement. And so, obviously...
So after he's caught, he's being interviewed,
Yeah.
and he's like, it wasn't very exciting to break into empty homes, so I gotta take it up a notch.
Correct.
And when does he do this
Yeah.
stuff? Is he, like...
Correct.
Being a cop, is he, like, on his day off, on his lunch break, getting a donut, quote-unquote? Like, what is
All of the above, yeah.
Oh, my God. That's a lot of break-ins. And 12 in a day, that's, like, there's only so many hours in the day, bitch.
Right. And if you're doing, like, 12 in a day, you're obviously escalating. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, the next home that he breaks into was the home of a local professor named Claude Snelling. And Claude Snelling wakes up in the middle of the night with this ransacker trying to snatch his 16-year-old daughter and drag her out of the house.
What the fuck?
Correct. And it's the Visalia ransacker. So the professor tries to like gets out of bed and tries to fight him, and
Right.
DeAngelo shoots him and the professor dies. So he's like freaked out. He can't believe it happened, and he kicks the daughter in the face and runs away.
Okay, why did he have to kick her in the face?
Right, like whatever. So Claude Snelling was his first
I'm
known
like
murder
stuck on
victim.
that after that whole spiel. I'm like, the face?
So rude.
Could you just kick her in the knee? Like, I'm sure she'd go down.
Yeah. So now the cops are like, oh shit, we gotta crack down because this man is wildin', right?
Now the cops, aka his like friends.
Correct. So he's doing this in a town that isn't the town where he's a cop. It's like a neighboring town.
Well, that makes the amount of fucking burglaring even crazier.
Right, because he's like commuting to burgle.
He's commuting and he has a day. Oh my God.
And he has a day job and a wife. Yeah. Like, first of all,
Does he have kids?
eventually, yes, he has 3 daughters.
Okay.
Okay.
Mom, I quit living. I'm
Correct.
done with
Same.
this.
So the cops are like, we gotta crack down. And he, at one point, he's like prowling outside of this potential victim's home because he starts stalking
Prowling.
people, and he would stalk them for like hours and hours on end. Which, here's a question for you. And I know Michelle's not a cop or anything, but like,
Okay.
if Michelle was supposed to be home and was gone for like hours stalking someone, I like to think that I would know if Eric was doing that, right?
Aw, Michelle can't fucking go anywhere. I'm like, where are you going? What are you
Correct.
doing? Why don't you want to do it with me?
Share your location with me.
Where are you? When are you coming home? Are you bringing me a donut?
Right.
What about a coffee? Like, that's me.
Did you stop and get a donut? Yes or no? That's what's important to me.
If I don't have a nice coffee in 20 minutes,
I'm gonna die.
I'm yes.
And that's your job.
Yeah,
So-
and you figure that out for me, not me.
Okay, so he gets cornered while he's prowling outside of this potential victim's home.
Got it.
And this detective catches him, and the detective's name is McGowan, and he's like, okay, I got you, man. Take off your mask, right? And he, like,
I
waits
forgot I was
until-
supposed to audibly respond. My mouth just dropped, so.
Your jaw dropped open,
said-
yeah. Ah!
Oh.
So he's like, the detective is watching him like pull his mask off, and as that's happening, he like shines the light in the burglar's face, and the burglar pulls a gun up and shoots at the detective, and it hits the flashlight,
What the fuck?
and he gets away.
He gets away.
Right. I feel bad for the cop too, because he had like permanent damage because the guy shot the flashlight and there was like shrapnel from the flashlight that hit him in the eyes.
Oh, this guy is he's kind of sucks. Like, not, I mean, he sucks, super sucks, but he kind of sucks at even, like,
Yeah.
being a criminal. He, like, tried to take
Oh,
some
he's
child, gets caught, kills someone,
not
kicks
cool.
the girl in the face. Then he's like, I'm gonna shoot you, shoots the
Yeah.
flashlight, ruins someone's eyesight. Like, he seems he's not good at it.
total piece of
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. Okay, so after this like close call, he's like, "Woof, that was scary."
Does he slow down or does he speed up?
Oh, speeds right up.
Oh my.
So his reign as the Visalia ransacker ends and begins the East Area rapist era.
Or he took the close call as like, I'm actually really fucking good at this. Let me up the ante. Got it. Okay, love that for him.
Correct. Okay, and he's worried at this point because this cop has seen his face now, right? Even though he shot him, he's like, I'm worried that my cop colleagues are gonna recognize me.
Mm-hmm.
So he applies for and gets a transfer to a different town called Auburn because he's like, people are going to start recognizing
Right.
me.
Instead of being
Which-
like, I should probably stop committing crimes, he's like,
Right.
I'm just going to do my job elsewhere so nobody knows who I am.
I'm just going to stay getting away with shit, basically.
I'm going to keep being a creep.
Correct. So he's acting during the daytime like a serious, like, no-nonsense small-town cop by day, and then he's stalking his victims for hours at night, all with, like, a wife at home who has no idea what he's doing. So basically, this is his, like, methodology.
This
and
is what he does.
This is, like, trigger warning. So he would find a woman who he wanted to attack, he would cut the phone lines, and sneak in through an open window or door. Because remember, small town
Lock
in the
your
70s.
doors. Lock your doors.
Please lock your doors.
If you live anywhere at any time, lock your doors.
There's no reason not to lock your doors. And your windows. Shit. I'm about to go check
Apparently.
my windows right now.
Third floor house, lock your doors.
Lock your doors
Lock your
and
windows.
windows. Yeah. Okay. So he comes in and he's wearing a ski mask and dark shirt with no pants.
What? Wait.
Ew.
What?
Ew.
Keep being a creep.
He's naked from the waist down.
Why?
Okay.
You're so
You're
much
right.
less intimidating with no pants.
You're telling me that you're Weenie the Poohing this shit?
I'm yelling. I'm
Right.
so much more mad than I was at the start of this part because he decides
I
to wear
know.
a ski mask. I
It's
can't even
gonna
talk,
get
I'm so mad.
worse.
A ski mask
Yeah.
and no pants. This is some
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh era shit, and I
And
will
no
have none of
pants. I will have none of it, and no one else would either.
it. You have so much confidence.
So too much. They
to
asked one
do
of the
that.
victims, they're like, so how did you know his race if he had like, because they described the perpetrator, right? And they're like, how did you know that he was white if he had like a long sleeve black shirt on and a ski mask? She was like, because he was wearing no pants. He would do this in like the middle of the night. And so these women would wake up and his move was that he would like be standing in their doorway when they woke up and he would shine a flashlight at them.
Oh, so they couldn't see.
So they couldn't see.
The
And then he
fuck?
would attack them. Okay. So everyone is freaking out, like terrorizing these neighborhoods, right?
So I'm just concerned about how many windows have to lock your fucking windows, people.
I thought you were going to ask how many women this happened to. Do you want to know that number?
Before I know that, I liked a spoiler. Did he suffer ever?
Yes, kind of.
He should have lost all of his fingernails.
I'm fine with that.
one by one, at a minimum, just a
Right.
starting point.
I'm fine with it. Bamboo shoots, whatever. Whatever you want to do.
God, that would hurt. Yeah.
Enhanced interrogation on this man.
I'm down.
He's like, no, I admitted to it. And they're like, no, you didn't. Say more.
No, you didn't. You big fat liar.
That's
No pants.
Why I should not be in law enforcement, because I'd be like, I'm sorry, you attacked how many women?
I would have
Okay.
him in jail, and I would never give him fucking pants.
Do you want to hear the number?
Never, no pants ever. Yes, I do want to hear the number. Sorry, I'm just still fucking mad. I'd be like, you don't want to wear pants, so no clothes for
So
you, bitch.
overall, he has admitted to the assault, rape, and or murder. I want you to guess.
I don't know. I'm scared.
It's 74, but yeah. 74 is crazy.
Honestly,
Right.
they should get all of those people,
Yeah.
those women together and be like, what do
Mhm.
you want done to him? And then go and do whatever they say.
I totally agree with that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I like it. Street justice.
I swear to God, I would be like, as a judge, like, and you're no longer allowed to wear pants.
Right. Never again. That's what you like, right? That's your favorite?
Here.
Is not wearing pants? Perfect.
No pants.
You're the king of no pants now. Did you like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he starts by attacking these women, and everybody's freaking out, obviously. So gun sales go up. Literally, the locksmiths in the neighborhood could not hire enough people to keep up with the demand for changing locks. The number of dogs adopted skyrocketed. Literally, the shelters ran out of dogs.
Yeah.
Because every woman who lived alone was like, I have to defend myself, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's attacking at this point single women living alone. And then he decides that that's not exciting enough anymore. Like, he's getting away with it. He's like, I'm not excited by this anymore. So he starts attacking young, like, hetero couples where there's a male home with the woman. And psychologists think that he probably did this in an effort because he wanted to show dominance over the man.
So does he do this also with no pants? Because I swear to God.
I think so, yeah.
Well, I don't know why I'll never forget this part of this story.
It's so disturbing.
Like, I won't forget it anyway. But the no pants thing?
No, okay, I may be lying about the no pants at this part
Oh.
because he pretends like he's robbing them.
Oh, okay.
And if you had no pants on, it'd be like, okay, well, clearly something else is going on here. Like, you couldn't get away with that charade if you had no pants on.
Okay, well, I mean,
I'd be like,
all of this is
if
horrible,
you're robbing
but
me, you can have my jewelry, but where are your pants?
Can I
sir?
give you a pair? Can I offer you a pair of pants, please?
I have some yoga leggings. They're a size medium, but
You can
might
have
could
them.
stretch it.
They're really nice.
Right. So, okay, at one point, he comes to this woman's door, and he's pretending like he's doing a survey or
Yeah.
some shit for, like, the American pets of whatever.
Yeah, they used to do that all the time, door to door.
And he's asking her, do you have a dog that you need to register? We're, like, registering local dogs. And she's like, no, I don't have a dog. Because,
What the fuck does that even mean?
well, at this point, he knows that everybody is getting dogs to defend themselves from him. So he's like, do you have a dog that you want to register? And she's like, no, I don't have a dog.
If somebody asked that, I'd be
Yeah,
like,
it's a
yes.
big dog. And it hates everyone but me.
It's a big dog, and it'll kill you.
I'd be like, it's
Why?
an untrained Rottweiler that just wiles out on people.
Yeah.
And also, my husband is a sumo wrestler. How about that?
I don't know if that's scary, to be honest. It's kind of like
What's scary?
6 1/2.
An MMA,
fighter.
those people that fight.
I would just be like, my husband has an anger problem. Are you registering that too?
My husband has an anger issue against people with no pants on. We're trying to work through it. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So she's like gets a weird feeling about this guy because,
As she should.
and she sees him like messing with a lock on her garage door, like trying to open the lock, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I was just doing a double check, whatever, and skedaddles on out of there.
I'm just checking on
like-
the check. What?
Okay, Sketchy McSketcherson.
Literally.
So she starts calling around, and she calls her neighbor, and she's like, hey, did this weirdo come to your door? And the neighbor is like an old woman. She's like, no, he didn't come to my door. And she's like, okay, well, that's obviously BS then. And she calls the Better Business Bureau, and she's like, hey, did Sketchy McSketcherson, is he legit? And
Yeah.
they're like, no, he's sketchy. Don't give him any information. And she's like, okay. So she goes to bed that night with her husband, and she's like, hey, yo, I have a bad feeling. And her husband is like, you're being unreasonable, go to bed. Like, he dismissed her completely. And she's like, no, seriously, I like think I heard a noise. And the husband's like, no, you didn't. It's probably just stray cats or like a raccoon. So she goes to bed anyway with her husband, and DeAngelo breaks in and assaults her that night and ties the husband up while he's assaulting her.
Listen to your wives.
Right. Also, not like I'm not intending this statement to be like victim blaming in any way. It's obviously only his fault that this guy's an asshole.
1000%.
But if you have a bad feeling, that shit is like a biological drive for survival, and you should not dismiss it under any circumstances.
100%.
I think. Like, if you have a bad feeling, that shit is like in your lizard brain is like, get out of here for a good reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Okay.
And if it turns out to be nothing, well, then you trusted your instinct.
Correct.
But you know, the best case scenario is it's always nothing. The worst case scenario is that you trusted your gut and you got away.
Right. Totally. And one of the podcasts I listen to, My Favorite Murderer, they say
My favorite murder.
Exactly. They always say stay sexy and don't get murdered, and they're like pepper spray first, ask questions later.
Period.
Like, if somebody is following you and you think they're following you, like, the worst case scenario is that you look like a bitch for yelling at them. Like, I don't care about that at all.
Mm-mm.
That's fine. I'm fine with
Nope.
it. I'll look
Do
like
it.
a crazy person before I get
Same.
snatched.
I'll What did we talk about that one time? Squat in the middle of the road and pee, just be
act
crazy.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I'll go nuts. I'll go ape shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So during this attack, he also started this horrifying practice where he would stack dishes onto the woman's back after he had attacked them, and he would like wait in the corner and tell them, if you move, I'm going to kill you. And then that way he could like hear the dishes rattling if she started to move, and she like couldn't tell if he was still there, and so he would hear the dishes rattling and would like freak out on them, right? Like, I'm still here. Because basically he was like trying to stop them from going to get help so that he could get away.
Right.
So he would
Well, then stack the dishes and leave, you creep.
Right, he would like do it once and like scare her, and then she would like wait for hours before she tried to get up again, basically.
Oh, I'm so dumb. He'd be like, "Don't move." I'd be like, "Boop!" Knock the dishes off. Like I would be shot.
Those dishes are broken.
I would frisbee a dish at him. I would be an idiot.
Frisbee. I mean, I literally can't imagine like surviving something like this.
So horrible. What a asshole.
It's crazy. So from this point, he moves to an area outside of San Diego, and he starts actually murdering people.
He has no chill, this guy.
Constant.
No chill.
Just taking it up a notch. Like, you cannot relax.
This might be my least favorite person we've ever discussed, and we've talked about Nazis.
And that's like saying something.
Yes.
So his method was he would invade homes in the middle of the night after like prowling and stalking his victims, and he would wake the couples up with the flashlight shining in their face.
He learned from that other guy. He's like, that's a great idea.
Right. And he's like, I'm just here to steal your stuff. So he would make the woman tie the husband up. And he'd be like, no, you have to tie it tighter, right? So she would tie his hands up while the guy was like watching her do that. And then would tie up the woman and assault her and then kill them both. Like, he would assault the women and then beat them both to death with like an item that he found in their household. Like a candlestick or like a piece of firewood.
Oh my God.
Right. So what we now know about DeAngelo is that after terrorizing California for over 12 years, he committed his final known murder in 1986. He then became a father to a second daughter. He ends up with 3 daughters eventually, and retreated to a quiet life in Sacramento. He never killed anyone else that we know of.
Why?
He just stopped in 1986. He just stopped. Nobody knows. Like, he was the Visalia ransacker. He was the East Area rapist and the Golden State Killer. He was all of them, and he literally just stopped. So I know we've joked around a lot because it's necessary to talk about stuff like this in a light way. But in an effort to pay respect for the victims, I want to read the names of the people whose lives he took.
Oh, okay. Please do. Yeah, please do.
They're Claude Snelling, Katie and Brian Maggiore, Deborah Manning and Robert Offerman, Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez, Charlene and Lyman Smith, Patrice and Keith Harrington, Manuela Witten, and Janelle Cruz. Overall, he admitted to the assault, rape, and or murder of at least 74 victims, including taking the lives of the 13 people whose names I just read. You can find out more about each of them and their lives at www.goldenstatekiller.com, a website dedicated to the memories of the victims and their families.
So, Sydnee.
Yes.
Love that you are talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
This has nothing to do with medical stuff. So can you connect those dots for me with a seamless transition?
I 100% can, and that was a flawless transition. So, this case was solved with an incredibly cool new medical science application of a technology that's been around for quite some time called genetic genealogy.
Is that like when I talked about like daddy doctors?
No, thank God. Well, kind of, right? So you can use genetic genealogy to test for paternity and things like that. Right. Yeah, totally.
So yes, it is.
Right. So
Science. I know science things.
Right. So while the Golden State Killer faded from the public eye after he retired from crime, there were tons of investigators who never stopped hunting him, even after the case went cold. You see, DeAngelo was a stupid asshole and had been leaving tons of DNA behind at every crime scene.
What an idiot.
Correct. So DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the double helical strand of genetic information that carries the instruction manual for how each of us develop and function. So without getting too into the weeds,
Thank God.
right? DNA is organized and stored into chromosomes, which in eukaryotic organisms like animals, plants, fungi, and protists are stored inside each cell's nucleus. And all of the DNA that contains the genetic map of a person is called their genome.
Okay.
Within the genome, you have what everyone knows as genes, which are like small regions of DNA that influence a particular characteristic. So, like giving you blue eyes or giving you red hair or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And those genes are heritable, meaning they come from your biological parents and they get passed down to some extent from generation to generation.
Okay. That's why you have like genetic disease and
Right.
things like that.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly. Controlled by genes. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the 1980s, scientists started to realize that they could use the places in a person's DNA that differed from everyone else's to identify a person specifically based on the DNA left behind at a crime scene.
Yeah. Good job,
Now,
scientists.
Exactly. So, about 99.9% of the DNA that makes up a person's genome is similar between two people. But DNA profiling uses that 0.1% that is different to match DNA left at the crime scene to reference DNA that they have on file, right? So they have to have a copy
Ooh.
of the actual perpetrator's DNA to be able to compare it to the one that they have, right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense. I follow.
Perfect.
I follow.
Okay. The first time that this was ever used was in 1986 in England. 2 teenage girls had been raped and murdered, but because there was DNA evidence left at the crime scene, Detective David Baker started asking local men to give blood samples. And he ended up comparing over 5,000 DNA profiles to the original sample left at the crime scene. And eventually they caught and convicted the killer, who was a local bakery worker named Colin Pitchfork.
That is a stupid fucking name.
Right? It sounds completely made up.
Yes.
Like they ask him for a name and he looks around. I'm Colin Pitchfork because he sees a pitchfork.
What an idiot.
Whatever. But it's actually his real name. And this douchebag pled guilty to both murders after being caught, which also happened to exonerate 3 men who had been falsely imprisoned for that particular crime.
Wow, yeah. So that not 1%. So it's 0.1% of DNA that's different between people.
Yeah.
How do we know? What does that mean?
No, that's a great question. And I'm really glad that you asked that.
Thank you.
So, forensic scientists can identify these unique areas of DNA called microsatellites, also known as STRs or short tandem repeats, or they can use what are called SNPs or SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms. So,
whenever you read these words, do you think, wow, if this was something Jess had to do, I'd have to read these words too?
No,
do you feel like that?
I usually feel like, ooh, stuck the landing.
God, I feel like, ooh, hit the bar.
So, SNPs are these specific mutations that happen within the DNA of a specific population. And there are these projects like the Human Genome Diversity Project that catalog the likelihood of a certain SNP being found within different populations, which can help scientists and forensic teams identify specific characteristics about a suspect, like their ethnicity, their hair color, their eye color, and height, probability, things like that, right? So they can come down to a pretty close representation of what a person should look like based on those SNPs. So skin cells, biological fluids like blood, spit, or semen, or any other pieces of evidence that they collect that contain DNA left behind at the crime scene can be used to develop a DNA profile of the offender. So if you have some reference DNA to compare the sample to, that's how you can find a match. Otherwise, it's nearly impossible to find a match. Like, you can get approximations of what the person would look like, right? But you don't know for sure who it belongs to until you have a reference match.
Got it.
And that's why lots of states started implementing rules like taking DNA swabs from violent offenders and keeping their genetic information on file after their release.
1,000%.
So for that exact same reason, in 1998, the FBI created the National DNA Index System, or NDIS, which is a part of a national database called CODIS, or the Combined DNA Index System. Establishing this CODIS was super important because it basically allowed local law enforcement agencies throughout the country to compare suspects to DNA profiles on the record. So
Good.
if, for instance, a serial killer was moving around the country or committing crimes in different areas, they could compare and basically get a DNA profile for that suspect on record. And then once somebody had been arrested, if they were a violent offender, and they did it again, you could compare their DNA to a sample left in CODIS and catch people that way. So as of 2012, they have over 3 million DNA profiles on file in CODIS. I couldn't find updated statistics on that, but I'm sure it's a lot more now.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. Meaning that if someone commits a crime and their profile's in CODIS, forensic scientists working the case can pick up on this relatively easy, and bada boom, bada bing, you got your bad guy, right?
So they caught him like that. Like, did police have to give DNA? Like, how did his DNA was on file or what?
So actually, no, his DNA was not on file yet. And this is where we get into this super interesting part about genetic genealogy. Because a genetic fingerprint, like the genetic profiles that they can come up with, a genetic fingerprint is only useful if you have someone to compare it to, and his genetic information was actually not in the CODIS system yet because he had never been arrested for a violent crime.
But isn't it dumb? Like, cops should be in the system.
That's a great question, and I kind of think so, yes.
As long as we're agreed.
No, I agree. I don't know if cops agree, but I do. For years and years, the people investigating the Golden State Killer case didn't have anything to compare his DNA to until one day when they decided to try something a little different. So this person named Barbara Ray Venter is a civilian genealogy expert who was helping the FBI upload their forensic data from the Golden State Killer crimes into websites called MyHeritage and GEDmatch.
We have MyHeritage.
Yeah, totally. So along with this investigator named Paul Holes, who is generally credited with like taking the lead on cracking the Golden State Killer case.
Cracking the case.
Right. And he has a really good, if you want to hear more about him talking about all of this in really good detail, he has a podcast called The Murder Squad, and it's actually
Look, we don't give free advertisements here.
Yeah, fair enough. Call me Paul Holes. You can get an ad on this show. So using the genetic information that they had on file, they compared it to a set of genealogical profiles on GEDmatch, which is an online service that allows users to upload their own genetic information and look for genetic matches like relatives you didn't know about. So this is where things get a little legally weird. Because even though everyone and their mom started using genetic sites like 23andMe, one of the earliest genetic genealogy companies, not everyone wants the police and or the government to have their genetic profile for really understandable reasons.
Right.
So if you've been listening to this podcast from the beginning, you'll know that we often talk about the ways that the U.S. government has used science and medicine to go apeshit on its citizens in lots of different ways. So it's really not surprising that not everyone fully trusts the government to have the information that encodes your literal entire genetic makeup, right?
No, it's not. It's kind of sad because we know how tragic it is. If you literally listen to like any other episode, you'll be
right, exactly. So lots of the big reputable companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com have actually refused to hand over their customers' DNA information to law enforcement, protecting the privacy of their millions of users.
Potentially also protecting
serial killers, too. Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
According to one Pew Research article, about 48% of Americans were were okay with this company giving their information to the cops. But there's been more than one case where mistaken genetic identity led to law enforcement erroneously accusing people of really horrific crimes. And I'll admit, I'm a little torn about it. What do you think?
I think they should have I think they should have an idea of who the person is and need like something to like reaffirm that. And then
like a warrant or something like that.
I think if they have the grounds enough to get a warrant, then I think they should.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I feel like that makes sense.
That's what I think.
But they can't just use it willy-nilly.
But not just like a free-for-all.
Right. Yeah, totally agree with that. So as of 2020, over 30 million people around the world have used DNA tests like the ones sold by these companies.
Yeah.
So that data is incredibly valuable, and it's not always being protected. Some DNA testing sites sell the collected data to Silicon Valley startups and pharmaceutical companies without your permission, which...
Big yikes. Big yikes energy.
Big yikes, yeah. But they're really cool for people who are interested in their genetic backgrounds or reconstructing their family trees, like where's your family from, and it's cool for finding out your predisposition to certain genetic health issues.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So let's get back to GEDmatch, which is how they caught the Golden State Killer. So GEDmatch is this separate voluntary site where people can take the raw information that they get back from services like 23andMe and Ancestry.com's genetic testing, and they can upload it into GEDmatch, and if someone who is genetically similar to that person does the same, GEDmatch will inform them that they have a relative nearby, or it can help them like reconstruct a family tree. So, founded in 2010, GEDmatch also informs its users up front that their information may be used for other purposes, like handing it over to cold case detectives, which is exactly how they apprehended Joseph DeAngelo. So, it wasn't one of the consumer DNA testing companies like 23andMe that handed over his information, which is a popular incorrect assumption. So in 2001, DNA data was actually used to prove that the Visalia ransacker, the East Area rapist, and the Golden State Killer were all the same person, and they already had a general description of him from the numerous people he assaulted but didn't kill. So...
he had to be nervous, right?
He had to be.
Yeah.
He literally just like moved to Sacramento. He had a wife and 3 daughters and just like retired and like lived out his life like a happy camper.
No.
Like, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
So when a third cousin of DeAngelo uploads her information into GEDmatch, investigators, including Paul Holes of the Murder Squad podcast, quickly homed in on him and waited for him to discard a biological sample. I could be wrong, but I remember the story going like this. They were like waiting outside of his house for him to like throw away a Coke bottle or a cigarette butt or something like that to get genetic information off of it to compare it to the match they had.
Okay.
Basically to get a sample from him to use as a reference sample against the one that had been left at the crime scene to confirm what they already thought. Because he already matched the expected age and physical description of the killer that had been basically living his life for 40 years since the case went cold. The day before he retired, Paul Holes led a stakeout outside of Joseph DeAngelo's home, and he actually helped write the arrest warrant on the case that had haunted him for over 20 years. After being apprehended, Joseph DeAngelo pled guilty to 13 murders and was sentenced to 26 consecutive life sentences for the 13 kidnappings and murders and the rape of at least 45 women, plus 8 years for weapons charges. So this douche is going to rot in a cell, and I hope it's a long and really excruciating existence.
Right, agree. Without pants.
Without pants. Never pants again for you, sir. I don't care if it's cold.
1,000%. No blankets.
No blankets either. Damn. I'm here with it. I like it. Since the GSK case in 2018, over 150 cold cases have been solved using this new application of genetic genealogy, most of which were the work of Parabon Nanolabs and their chief genetic genealogist, Cece Moore, who is a really cool person to read about. She started out as like a model and an actress and then became a genetic genealogist like later in life. Really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they've also made 11 Jane and John Doe identifications across the United States, most of which were run and funded by the DNA Doe Project. It's also helped, really importantly, exonerate suspects in several high-profile cases, including a man named Christopher Tapp, who has just been released after spending 20 years in prison for the murder of an Idaho teenager named Angie Dodge, which was a crime that he did not commit.
Good.
So, kind of summarizing this, while this is probably one of the most important biological discoveries to hit crime solving since, like, the discovery of DNA, and I think it has a huge amount of potential to help victims and to help those who have been wrongfully accused get justice. I think the potential there is enormous, but I think the next steps in using genetic genealogy need to be standardizing practices and ensuring that this isn't being abused or misused and that people's rights aren't being violated.
Yeah, 1,000%, yeah.
And that's what I know about that.
And that's what she knows about that.
What do you think?
I I'm very excited that people are getting freed with this information too. Like that.
Me too.
I listened to.
I was so excited to hear about that.
I listened to a podcast of like wrongful convictions, and it's like always DNA.
Oh
and
my God, I can't.
It's so, that's good. So thank you for sharing that. Like how science and crime meet again.
I know, right?
In the age of a Sydnee episode.
Science and crime always. That's the name of my game.
So if you're interested in supporting the pod and being a true Mal Pal, please subscribe, like, share, and rate us. That's how we like to see things that are positive in our lives.
That's the way we do things here.
And we will screenshot feedback and ratings and send it to each other. And we say, oh my God, yay, I'm gonna die. I love it here. They're baby angels.
Baby angels. Every time someone leaves us a review, we cry.
Follow us on social media and hit us up if you have any recommendations. And, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. And if you're interested in learning more about anything in the story, as always, we have the links in the show notes. Boop boop. Ba-doo-doo.
Boo 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 doo doo.
Bye.
Bye.